Welcome to BrightPath Tours, and welcome to our walking tour around LaFayette Square. We're beginning at the President's Guest House, known as Blair House. Blair House faces Pennsylvania Avenue near the White House at the corner of Pennsylvania Avenue and Jackson Place. If you're not quite there yet, please pause the tour until you reach the corner of Pennsylvania Avenue and Jackson Place. Thank you for downloading this tour. By now, you should be standing near the White House at the corner of Pennsylvania Avenue and Jackson Place at Blair House, ready to begin our tour of the historic neighborhood known as LaFayette Square. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should keep in mind. First and most important, because this neighborhood is part of the White House grounds, security is heavily enforced. At times, you might find some streets blocked off, so you may need to find alternate routes to the area, or you may have to wait for a while if a motorcade is moving. The park police and security officers are always friendly and helpful in guiding you around the neighborhood, but always heed their warnings and instructions. Although most of our tour route is through the pedestrian mall that has become the north side of the White House, we'll also walk along one of the busiest streets in the district, so please be aware of traffic and tour-related vehicles. Finally, use common sense and be aware of your surroundings. Our tour today takes us all the way around one of the most famous parks in America, Lafayette Park, which is actually part of the larger President's Park. The area we'll cover is small. We can see our entire tour from where we're standing, but for such a small space, there's a lot of history here. We're going to see some of the earliest formal residences built in Washington, D.C., and we'll talk about some of the buildings that are long gone, as well as many of the people, famous and notorious, who lived here. To help orient you a little better, Pennsylvania Avenue is along the southern side of the park, and H Street is along the northern side. In the early 1790s, the architect Pierre L'Enfant was planning and creating the layout of Washington, D.C. In his earliest designs, we see that he indicated this plot of land as the place for the president's house. This area has consistently seen men and women of influence who have helped shape our country as they socialized, connived, partied, debated, argued, and legislated our country into existence. Which brings us to our first stop, Blair House. Blair House was built in 1824 by the first Surgeon General of the United States, Dr. Joseph Lovell. Today, it is the official guest house of the President and comprises 4 properties, all of which maintain their individual facades. So although it may look like separate buildings, the interiors have been combined into one large home for visiting dignitaries. In the 1830s, Francis Preston Blair purchased the house for $6,500, and in 1843, he built a house next door for his daughter Elizabeth and her husband Samuel Phillips Lee, who was a cousin of Robert E. Lee. The house became part of Blair House in the 1940s. Then, in 1969 and 1970, 2 more houses were added to complete the property. These houses, number 700 and 704 Jackson Place, front on Lafayette Square. At the time Francis Preston Blair purchased the house, he was a well-known and influential Southerner from Kentucky. A close friend and advisor to President Andrew Jackson, Blair was editor of the influential newspaper, the Congressional Washington Globe. He was also a shrewd, behind-the-scenes political operative. He was among those who organized the Republican Party in the 1850s, presiding over the preliminary meeting of the party.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?